Hi there, here we go again. How do you like my picture? Knock and the door will be opened. We've all heard that. That's something that Jesus talked about a lot. Knock and the door will be opened. So let me open the door for you. My plan today is to open this door a little wider so that you can see beyond the door. That's where I'm taking you. That's where I want you to go, beyond the door. Knock and the door will be opened. Well, you did knock. You knocked and said, I want to know more about my God self. I want to know more about who I am. I want to go on my spiritual journey and discover more about who I am. Oh, okay. You knocked on the door and the door was open. Do you notice it's only open a little bit? Why didn't it open all the way so that you could see everything? Everything. With one knock, you could look and see everything. I'll tell you why you couldn't and why it's important that the door opens slowly but surely. Because you knocked on the door was open. And you got a little peek of the God energy, God light, God vibration. It's coming in here. The God light, God vibration. It's vital, it pushes us, and we have to walk through it. We have to say, okay, I'm out of the third dimensional world. I want out of this third dimensional world. It's beautiful. There's lots of beautiful trees, and there is a little lake. And boy, I bet you've enjoyed that little lake a lot throughout your many incarnations. But now, you are stepping beyond the lake. You are going into something deeper and more revealing while you're in consciousness this lifetime. Opening the door slowly but surely. As you can see, I've got a little bit here. We're going to open it up a little bit, and we're going to look inside and see what's there. What is beyond this door? You couldn't comprehend it all. I liken this to the blind man who says, I want to have sight. And some magnificent thing happened, and he got his sight back. But he'd been blind his whole life. Now all of a sudden, the light is blinding him. Now the light is blinding him because he has to refocus. He has to look at all this light and refocus himself. All this time he felt a table. Here's a table. Okay, this is a table. And now, all of a sudden, I can see the table? Well, that's not what I imagined. That's pretty scary. So, if you suddenly became aware of all that's behind the door, you would be so scared you'd run out and never go back to it because it's vast. It has many dimensions to it. It has many little rooms to that door. Many, many places to go. And you're like the blind person that wants to go through and see everything and understand everything in one swell swoop. So the blind man says, please show me everything. I want to see everything. Wow. You realize how difficult that would be? To suddenly be able to see everything? You'd have to go slowly but surely. Someone would have to take your hand and say, now look, this is a table. I want you to feel it. Remember how you thought about the table when you were blind. Now I want you to think about it You say, but look at all the different sizes of tables in here. There's a curvy table, and there's an oblong table, and there's a square table. Oh my God, and there's pink tables and yellow tables and orange tables, and I haven't even learned all the colors of all the things that are in this room. And I would rather be blind. Because it's too hard. It's too difficult. Oh my God, how am I going to comprehend all this? You'd have to go to a school. You'd have to go someplace where somebody would slowly but surely take your hand and move you through the different processes to understand what a chair was, what a body was, what an ear is. You didn't ever look at one. What blue eyes are, what black hair is. It was just a word to you, and you had never seen color, so you had to image whatever could be imaged on that level. Well, you are spiritually ready to open the door. Open the spiritual door within you. But it can't be flung open and see everything at the same time, any more than the blind man can be flung open and see everything at the same time. You would just run from it, say, oh my God, I'm in the room of all possibilities. How does one ever decipher all the things in this room? I'm in the room where all karma is kept. Whew, wow, what do I do in the Akashic records? I see records and records and records and records, and oh my God, what do I do with all these records? You mean these are accessible to me? All these records? Well, who cares? Why would I even be interested in looking at that? Why is that valuable to me? And you would go around and you'd look at all the things in the different rooms of the higher consciousness. And you would be overwhelmed with it. So, my job, as I see it, is to help you to open each little door, understand what it is, and how it operates in this higher consciousness. Remember, a few weeks ago I talked about infinite consciousness and finite consciousness. And when you walk through this door, you are leaving your finite consciousness down here in the third dimension, because this is the third dimension. This is the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, the higher dimensions. I'm going to put it that way, higher dimensions. This is the third, this is higher dimensions. Now you are ready to walk in this door. And you are only this big walking through this door. So this little tiny thing is walking in this vast door. Look how big the door is and how little you are. Now, you have to have some understanding of this new light that's coming in, and what do you do with it? How do you use the light wisely? How do you use the karmic records wisely? How do you use the world of possibilities wisely? You have to be trained to do it. Trained to understand where you are, because ultimately you are going to be the master. You are going to know what the masters know, what the hierarchy knows, call it what you will, infinite intelligence knows. And I want to go on record right now, is there's many aspects to God, many aspects to God too. So once you come into the God consciousness and the God awareness, and you will understand I am one with God and God is one with me, then there's another whole school you're in to understand what that is. Because you are no longer on the karmic law, you're on the law of ascension that overrules the karmic law. But you don't get there until you walk through this door and learn all the things that are on the other side of this door. And that's where the rub comes. That's where the student has to decide, am I really wanting to walk through that door? Or do I want to just tiptoe a few tiptoes and look, see what do I see here? What's there? Is it interesting enough to me? Maybe it is or maybe it isn't. But you have an opportunity to peek into the door. See the light. And many of you have had experiences in the light. Those are the little, I call, seductions that God gives us to go further. You see a little bit and you want to get more. You want to understand more. And because desires are so much a part of who you are, and it's part of the evolution of your soul, you have to desire to go through that door. And then once you get in the door, you have to desire to open another door. So there's many, many doors that you're going to have to open. A lot of the great mystics call it veils. The veils are lifted. Before you go through the veil, you have to conquer the veil you have just lifted prior to the new veil that's going to be lifted. It's veils, or the door opening, slowly but surely. As you can see, the door can open slow but sure. But you are the one that makes the decision. Do you want to go through that door? And then once you're through the door, do you want to stay moving in God consciousness, or is it too scary or too out of sync or out of what you think is right, wrong, and how you've seen the world up to this moment? Because the way you've seen this world is through your karmic eyes. It's through the illusion that you built within yourself and the karma you are playing in. So, with that said, do you really want to go through the door? I'm asking you, do you want to go through the door? And I'm going to tell you, there's many doors you have to go through. Once you conquer one door, like the blind man, this is the table. Feel it. Does it feel like what you thought it was going to be? Oh no, it didn't feel like what I thought it was going to be. Okay, you got to get rid of the old idea that you had in your head as a blind person to see something different about the table that you didn't see before. So it's a process that you are learning, and you're opening up your consciousness to learn more and to be more consciously aware of the different things in this little room that you've just walked into. Let's call it the karmic records. Aha! You've walked into the karmic records. Okay, what does that mean? You have access to your karma. That's pretty fabulous. Up till now, you've been blinded. You didn't know anything about karma. Oh, you may have heard something about it, but you never, ever asked the question, I want to know my karma. If I'm a soul evolving, I must have a huge karmic history. I want through that door. I want to understand it. Open the door for me. You have to have that kind of push and drive. Open that door for me now so that I can see where I've been, so that I can conquer my whole self in God. That's my desire. But you will be tested on that desire. Mark my words. Because you can't go too far in the room of Akashic Records, because you're going to find out things about yourself that maybe you wish you didn't find out. And then what do you do with it? Then the door is opened a little wider. And you can just say, oh, I love where I'm at. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to see anything more. Oh my God, I can't believe that I was an Indian that was out killing white people. Oh, I don't like that part of me. I can't believe I did something that stupid. Oh, I'd rather be blind than know what my soul has been doing. So you have to have that ambition and the fearlessness to look at those things and to deal with them, do your forgiveness work so that a new opportunity will be able to come forth for you. You're opening a door here, and look how big that door is. It's huge. And you are very little something that's going through the door. The infinite intelligence is here, and you're walking out of finite intelligence into infinite intelligence that has all the karmic records that you can get into if you have the courage and have the dedication to do that which is yours to do. If you had the opportunity to check it, believe me, you don't get through that door unless you have become very, very advanced in other lifetimes. Because once you're through this door into the Akashic records, you can't be bustling back and forth in the third dimension, fourth dimension. You have to give up the third in order to even be in those. So it's obvious if you're in the Akashic records, you have done a lot of work in other lifetimes. And honor that part of yourself. And if you aren't in it, and it's just me telling you, okay, this is the karma you're playing, and this is who you were, and you say, oh, that's interesting. This is why you're doing what you're doing. And I give a little touch to recognize that part of you so that you have a little taste of it. But then the door closes and you have to deal with it. You have to be courageous. Very courageous, not kinda. And believe me, you're not going to go too far in the karmic records and finding out things until you have enough of your ego out of the way that would never use some of the things you're finding out about yourself to manipulate anybody else. Because you start to see who else has been in your life and why they've been in your life and why you chose to have them in your life this lifetime. You can't get through this door if you're going to manipulate anybody else. So this is why the tests are so important. This is why every step you take, there's got to be a test to find out how absolutely dedicated you are. I've had students say to me, I am dedicated, Jane, nobody can get me off this path. Oh, I would never, ever, ever, ever do anything. And I said, well, I'm so happy to hear that. And you will be tested on that. Be aware of that. Because you can't go to the next step till you take care of this test you're going to come into. All of a sudden, from nowhere, you're not coming to class anymore. You're not texting or calling. You're hiding because you know that this piece, this test you're taking, that you're not doing very well in passing it. You want to pass it, but you don't want to. And that's the big thing that happens to us. Every student has this. It's nothing new. They did this to me all the time. Every time I took a step, I got a test. Boom, 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 boom. Until I got very clear that there would be a test after I learned something, after I had to do my forgiveness work, there would be a test. Would I be ready to take the next step? If I wasn't, I couldn't get it, because it's not fair to you to get out there with a lot of information that you're going to use it wrongly against somebody else. or against your family or the country or start a revolution. Very dangerous. So if you're on this journey, you will be tested from time to time as you open this door. Remember, you're only this big, and you become bigger until you are the I am presence of God. And this whole door, everything opens and everything is there for you. But you already have learned this third dimensional world means nothing to you. Any more than when you were a squirrel. That life means nothing to you. Do you want to go back to being a squirrel? Absolutely not. Do you want to go back to being a human once you've gone into this? Absolutely not. But there's a time between, when you're vacillating between here, there is opportunities to find that this is more comforting, much more comforting, because by golly, I know this, at least I understand the third dimension. Oh, I know how it works. This, I don't know how it works. And I'm scared as I can be to find out all about me, because I've been hiding myself from myself for eons of lifetimes. So the day of reckoning is here. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Oh my God. To give up the self, once it's done, it's like somebody has lifted a huge, huge, huge weight off of you. A huge one. You didn't even know you were carrying. You're free. Free to be what you need to be at any given moment. And you're not attached to any of it. Because you don't live down here in the third dimension. You live in the higher realm of yourself. So this little door here, it's the barn door. I guess we can call it anything we want to. It looks like a barn door, doesn't it? Isn't that interesting? It's as simple as a barn door. It's not a great cathedral with beautiful golden door with all kinds of bells and whistles and come to this door. It's just a plain little old barn door. Is it really a plain little barn door? You walk through this, and you walk through the infinite intelligence of God. But there's a price to pay for that. That means you've got to give up your finite consciousness. That's the price. They collect it right here. And then once you get in here, it's, do you still want to be in the infinite intelligence, or do you want to go back to finite intelligence? Because at least you understand what the finite intelligence is. It may be limited, but at least I understand that it's limited. But if I go into infinite, it's unlimited. What'll happen to me, the ego says? I'll be gobbled up by the big I am presence. Oh my God, I'm scared to go in that door. I might have to give something up that I think is so important. Down here in the third dimension. Well, I think I've made my point very clear on this video. Number one, it takes desires. And number two, once you start moving into this higher dimension of self, you'll be tested on how much you want to continue moving. And how easy it is to flip back. I have seen so many of my students flip backwards. because it's too hard. They'd rather go do something else. It looks more delicious, more fun. Until they open the door and they find it's no fun at all. And that's the illusion that they have, that what they're doing is really fun. Even though it's in the opposites, it's really fun. Not so. Not from my point of view. Not from mine. Don't get entrapped by this dimension when there's this one very close at hand. Knock and the door will be opened. Yes, indeed, it will be opened. And you can walk through and move into God consciousness, infinite consciousness, cosmic consciousness, universal consciousness, the supreme consciousness. Name of what it is, all of those things. Plus probably 1,000 other names that third-dimensional people give it. Okay? Think about this. I want you to think about this week. How much do you want to walk through this door? How committed are you to walking through it? Many of you already have walked through the door. And the challenge now to those that have already walked through the door, and many of my students of course have, do they want to go on? Or will they take the information they've gotten so far and run back to the third dimension and try to make better choices, which is they're free to do. Very free to do. Now that I don't know all this stuff, I'll make better choices. That's what I'll do. I'll get some of my needs met. Well, go ahead. And I'll meet you the next lifetime, struggling to move forward. But at least you tried this lifetime, and that counts for something. That counts for a lot. Don't ever give up on yourself. Never, ever. The infinite intelligence has never given up on you, and never will. Think about where you are. Think about, what is it that I really want to accomplish this lifetime? How many doors do I want to open and go through? Knowing that all my belief structure of the third dimension is going to go down the tubes. And that is indeed the truth. Even your belief system about who or what you think God is. Because God has so many aspects, and it's a vibration and energy that opens up so many doors in consciousness. You have to go into it to understand it. And once you go into it and you truly understand it, you don't ever want to go back. Never, ever. Think on these things. I love you, support you. I want you to walk through that door. Again. To my students, again. You got to walk through it again, because there's more things for you to learn. I can't take you any further till you make the commitment to walk through the door further. Then I have permission to help you. The blind man has to say, I want to see. I want to have the courage to see. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to, all my belief systems are going to go down the drain because I've never seen what blue is. I've heard people talk about blue. I have no idea what blue is. I don't know what yellow is. You tell me you have brown eyes. I don't know what that means. And now you're going to show me what that means? I have to have the courage to look at it and to see it and to understand it and not be so scared that I run back and say to the doctor, I want to be blind again. I can't stand this. Let me forget that I ever saw these things. I was happy when I was blind. At least I knew how to get around. I might have a cane, and I might have my house set up so that I can find everything, but at least I know that. And that's a lot better than seeing, because man, there's so much to see. Don't be the blind man and ask to be blind again. Because that blind man can go back to being blind again. If he chooses it. So, as I said, I've given you a lot to think about. I look forward to talking to you next week. See how you're doing. Bye-bye for now.